Hi all, once and future gamer here, and welcome to another Pokemon challenge. Pokemon Red with a single Porygon was an interesting run that proved to be simpler than I actually thought it would be. Today though, we have something that I feel is going to be an absolutely horrible challenge as we see if I can beat Pokemon Ruby using just Archie's team and moves. So then, Archie. He uses the same team in Sapphire as he does in Emerald, a Mightyena, a Crobat and a Sharpedo. As you can see, we do not get a lot of coverage. I have a feeling Mightyena might well be useless. We have a Sharpedo with no stab attacks. Nice one, Archie, you clown! It's not even like Sharpedo's special attack is that bad either. Crobat might be the MVP, most valuable Pokemon in this run, I think. It gets the most coverage, relatively speaking anyway. Predictions then. Roxanne might be awkward, depending on what moves we start with. I can't see her being insurmountable though. This is Ruby, not Emerald. Electric Gym might be a bit rough because there is Steel types in there. We might have enough for the Psychic Gym. Again, it's Ruby, not Emerald. When we get to the Elite Four, Phoebe might be horrifying, given that only Crobat can directly hurt her Pokemon. Drake has potential to be bad, given his Pokemon can hit quite hard. But the personal worst thing here might be Steven Stone as champion. 5 of his 6 Pokemon are Rock or Steel type, and we've mainly got normal and flying attacking moves. This is going to suck, isn't it? Just the rules then. In combat, I can only use Archie's team or their pre-evolved forms and their movesets. Until I do have the first attacking move of that moveset, I am allowed to use other moves, but those moves have to be deleted as time goes by. Other Pokemon are needed for HMs, but unable to fight. Only held items and Pokeballs in battle, but I can heal outside of battle. As per all my team runs, battle must be on set mode, so no free switches in throughout. Last of all, no glitches or exploits. If you do enjoy what you see, drop a like, hit the subscribe button and ring that bell. This challenge was suggested on YouTube by Jared Bowen. If you have any idea for future challenges, drop them in the comments section down below or hit the links in the description for my Twitter or my Discord. I use the universal Pokemon randomizer to get the game going, replacing Mudkip with Kavana, so that I can do the whole run with it. We can get Poochyena and Zubat quite early on, while I need a decent fishing rod for Kavana. So this makes the most sense. It does also give our rival Trico, which will probably be the hardest for us to fight, given Kavana is a water type. Archie doesn't nickname his team, so I don't think I'm going to bother either. So, at least I don't have to think of something clever, or, depending on your perspective, dumb. We begin with our Kavana, who has the rough skin ability. We begin with Bite, so at least Roxanne might not be that bad. I think probably my biggest challenge in this game might be remembering what stuff only happens in Emerald and not in the base Ruby and Sapphire. We head up north and I go to battle May on Route 103, pitting my Kavana versus her Trico. Once we get this out of the way, we'll be able to look to add the second member to our team. We bite her Trico a bunch of times to down it. It's quite amusing as it pounds us and gets countered by our rough skin ability. But she doesn't make that mistake again and goes for Leah as our giant evil piranha continues to munch on Trico. It's an easy win. After getting the Pokédex and the Pokéballs, I catch a wild Poochyena and we've got 2/3 of our team, just like that. It takes a bit of a while because I am worried about one hitting it, and so I make the failed attempts at catching it from full health. Not good. I do go on a catching spree for some Zigzagoon, and I do notice that Pickup seems to work the same way it does in Fire Red and Leaf Green, rather than how it works in Emerald and later games. I'm getting proteins, PP ups and rare candies before I've even left the forest. Well, saying it in the plural tense might be pushing it, but hey, it's better than nothing. In Rustboro, I decide to head out over to the gym and tackle Roxanne. Both my Pokemon have Bite, which is a special move in this game, so we should be able to hurt her considerably well. I mean, neither of these are really special attackers. Kavana has the Adamant nature, which cuts our special attack, but I reckon we'll be able to do some damage. Well, it doesn't entirely go to plan, I will say that much. I thought Roxanne was supposed to be easier in Ruby and Sapphire than Emerald. Kavana does take out Geodude, but it puts us on red health with 1 Rock Tomb. Considering the state of our defence, that's perhaps not surprising. We 2-hit it with Bite, but the damage is done. we don't even get a hit off versus nose pass before we go down. Poochyena does come out to fight it, and I hit 2 sand attacks on it while it goes for harden. Unfortunately though, our bites do next to nothing on it, which isn't ideal in the slightest. Also, unfortunately and absolutely infuriatingly, Nosepass manages to land a rock tomb and 2 rock throws through 2 sand attacks, which is, statistically, the most improbable thing that has ever happened in Pokemon history. I go back to the grinding board, and if you think I'm exaggerating about how good pickup has been, check out the contents of my bag. This has been ridiculous so far. It's not an exploit if it's how the game was programmed, I'll point out. It's not long after this grind that my Poochyena evolves into Mightyena, which happens at an earlier level than expected. It startled me the first time it happened, and because I'm used to doing these challenges with unevolved Pokemon, instinct kicked in and I leaped onto the B button for cancelling it. Hence, level 19 evolution, rather than level 18 when it's supposed to happen. I don't know why, but I thought Mightyena evolved at level 25 for some reason. I go for Roxanne again, this time with my team stronger than hers. That usually helps. I'm way more prepped this time as Kavana faces off with Geodude once again. We hit it with a bite, we don't get the flinch, and she hits a rock tomb that doesn't wipe out most of our health this time, which is good, because it puts her in healing range. She wastes a potion, during which time we can wipe Geodude out. She goes into Nosepass, and I summon Mightyena for the Intimidate. We get hit with a rock tomb, but it doesn't do much damage before I go back into Kavana. I figure I might go for the double Intimidate. However, it proves to be needless, as Nosepass really can't hurt Kavana, even with her dropping a heal on it. We get a crit with the first bite, and we can keep on biting it until eventually the Nosepass does go down and gives us a victory. Before we leave Rustboro to head to Dewford, we have a rival fight. Or at least we do in Emerald. I guess we don't here. Live and learn. How about that? I do head to Granite Cave though to get our next capture. And it isn't long before we do find ourselves a Zubat, which I do catch. It's not all fun and games though, because I do have to level it up afterwards, which is not a good thing to make it usable. I'll need it for the next gym though, because if it's a choice between 2 Pokemon weak to the gym leader's type and one with a double resistance, did I say it was a choice? We do learn Bite though before Wing Attack, so since that's one of our mandatory moves, I can't use anything else on Zubat now, so I have to level up to Wing Attack. At level 21, we do get Wing Attack, and I go Hunt Brawly. I'm not going to use a not very effective special attack move unless I really have to. Hey, the gym is laid out differently in Ruby than it is in Emerald. I think I said it already, it's really a long time since I played the base Gen 3 games. We do get to Brawly very quickly though, thanks to the gym not being annoying, and I send Zubat out to face Machop. We too hit it with Wing Attack while it only goes for Bulk Up in exchange. That could have been nasty, but we got out unscathed. Makahita, normally something that has potential to be absolutely irritating, is a one hit with Wing Attack. Let's move on. While fighting through the Granite Cave to get to Stephen's Stone, I managed to get Zubat up to Evolution Point after fighting a Mawile, though it's really not pleasant. Just imagine what the champion fight will be like at the end of the game when we're trying to hit steel types with flying and normal moves. Just saying. I don't know how long it will be until we get Crobat, since it's a happiness evolution and I've got no way of gauging that. We have a May fight underneath Cycling Road, and I begin with Mightyena versus Wailmer. We do have Roar, but we don't have our mandatory attacking move yet, so I tackle Wailmer a bunch of times until it goes down, which isn't fast. It's a pretty high HP Pokemon, which is never helpful. Wailmer is actually something I have thought about doing a challenge with at some point. She goes into Grovyle next, and I swap into Golbat. Her Absorb does 1 massive point of damage, and then we down it with Wing Attack. Numali's last, we thrash into it with Wing Attack for decent damage, but it burns us with Ember, which cuts our attack. Not an issue at all, as I switch to Bite it down from a weakened position. Watson is next, and I am leery about this. It's the first time in the game that we really have to go against Steel types, and I don't think we're going to be able to do it at this level. I want to get everyone to at least level 30 or sort the movesets out so there's something close to what we need to use. I've kind of had a pass on the first gym, but Kavana, who evolves into Sharpedo at level 30, gets Slash at level 33. Mightyena gets Takedown at level 37, which might be pushing it. Golbat does evolve into Crobat shortly after, so we have our team. Crobat has most of the moveset, so we just need to replace Leech Life with Air Cutter. Unfortunately, it's the best Pokemon we have on the team, and probably the worst option for fighting Watson. I decided to make a try on Watson just to see how it goes with Crobat at level 30, Mightyena at level 32 and Sharpedo at level 33. So we have Slash. We've got Swagger, we've got Scary Face, we've got Confuse Ray and we have Screech in our arsenal. So I guess we'll have to work out how best to utilise them. This goes interestingly as Magnemite goes first and I send in Mightyena. I roar it out, but not before we get paralysed by Thunder Wave, which is pretty bad, I must admit. Voltorb comes out and we manage to swagger it while getting hit with electric attacks. We tackle it a bunch of times, dealing decent damage, but our paralysis also kicks in a lot. Until finally, when it's at the point where another blow would end it, it blows itself up with self-destruct and takes down Mightyena. I send in Sharpedo to fight Magnemite and we get paralysed by another Thunder Wave. But we do take it out with a pair of slashes, which is good. I can't emphasise that enough. Magneton is probably too much for Sharpedo, but we do get a Screech off on it, which is pretty good, but it downs us with Shockwave before we can land a slash on it. Okay, so it's all up to Crobat then. I try a bite and hope for the flinch, but we get paralysed for the third time in this fight. We confuse each other, and it does hit itself a bunch of times. Our wing attack does more than our bite, so that's the route we go down, thanks to the defence drop. It hits itself to put it in red health. We break through both confusion and paralysis and drop it with another wing attack. Whew! Next major fight will be the Mount Chimney. Well, it should be a maxi fight here, I think. That's the same as Emerald. Yeah, because if it's Sapphire, you fight Archie. Anyway, I begin with Sharpedo versus Mightyena. We get intimidated, we get sand attacked, but we do too hit it with Slash, so that's a good thing. We're probably useless for the next bit of the fight versus Golbat, so I switch into my own Mightyena to intimidate it. We take down it a few times while he plays the game of how many super potions can he drop on it while we keep hitting takedown. It's irritating, but eventually we drop it for the win before he sends Camerupt out. We immediately swagger it. Camerupt hits itself in confusion and then we drop it with takedown for the victory. That was pretty simple, I will admit. Next major fight is Fire-type trainer Flannery, and I wish I had some water moves. It probably won't be the first time in this run that I wish that was the case. Again, I'm surprised by the different gym design in this. Mind you, I think the best gym design that Flannery ever had was in Auras, if I'm honest. When the fight begins, I start with Sharpedo to slash her way through the two Slugma. Slugma is not a good Pokemon, end of, and our Shark goes on the rampage. Hey, you don't see many Sharks with slug-related injuries, though I suppose if you set the slug on fire, it might potentially be annoying to the Shark. Torkoal, we tried to Screech, but can't do anything because of its ability. That was a wasted turn, and it probably costs Sharpedo the victory. It's similar to the fight with Max's Golbat, because she keeps healing Torkoal. It hits itself on our rough skin a few times. We hit some slashes and she brings it back from the brink before we go down. I send Mightyena out to swagger it and then hit some takedowns. We get one turn of confusion luck, but it paralyses us with the +2 body slam. But the amazing thing is, we are still faster and we finish her volcanic turtle off. Let's go fight our dad then, shall we? Normal type gym leader, Norman, is next. And we've got not one, but two slacking to deal with. So that's going to be potentially unpleasant. I suppose it depends how I handle them. We end up losing in pretty bad circumstances. His first slacking is irritating as we taunt it on the first turn to stop the yawn. And I figure that is that. Hey, fun fact for you. Taunt apparently works differently in Gen 3. We slash on the truant turn and I screech on the next turn, but it yawns us. I didn't think that'd be a factor. We take it out with slash, but then the second slacking comes in and we fall asleep. Not waking up, and it can take us out with focus punch. Nuts. Crobat comes in and hits a few blows, but we can't really hurt it, and so I swap into Mightyena with the intention of swaggering it. There's nothing dangerous about that strategy at all, is there? We try to keep it confused, we try to keep attacking with takedown while it goes to focus punch, managing to get so lucky for so long. But eventually, takedown misses because of course, and Mightyena gets thumped out by the focus punch. Given it is at +4 in attack and a super effective move coming from a slacking, it was to be expected. I suppose we want to be grateful that it wasn't a stab move. Like with the previous two fights, the hyper potions are annoying because twice we get slacking number 2 into knockout range. Crobat comes back out and we try to keep it confused, but we fail and it downs us with a facade. So that didn't exactly go to plan though. It's okay, I know now what needs to be done on the next turn. I go again, having gotten everybody to level 43. I had half an hour spare and I didn't want to start recording something, so I just went and ground up instead. It's not uncommon for me to do this. I don't want a dozen 5-minute long video clips if I can help it. I'd rather have like 4 or 5 hour long ones. Weird, but there you go, that's just me. Our movesets are complete at least. We taunt on the slacking with Sharpedo just in case Hoenn comes our way, but it crits us with Facade instead, leaving us weak. Crap. We do hit it with 2 slashers, but the damage range isn't quite enough to directly knock it out. It hits another Facade to end us, but the rough skin damage takes it out. We send Mightyena in next to face the second slacking and intimidate it. We hit a takedown for about a quarter of its health, stopping it from using focus punch, but I don't trust the accuracy of that move and switch into Crobat and set about hitting it with some wing attacks. It uses a slack off to restore health and hits a Facade, but we do manage to inflict enough damage on it, including a lucky final crit to take it out, before we wreck the Vigour off with wing attacks, taking it out with 2 of them. It can't do enough to take us down with a Facade. 5 badges down. The thing with grinding, when I've got a spare half an hour, it doesn't progress the story at the time, but I expect to fly through the next bit of the game. Next major fight is the rival one outside the Weather Institute, and I go with Sharpedo. It is pretty much a one-shot sweep through her team with Slash, as we first take down Numel, then her Grovyle comes out but doesn't fare much better as it goes down to Slash, and then the Whalmer at the very last, very quickly, goes down in the same way. Next fight is versus Winona in the Flying type gym, and we are not at an inherent disadvantage here. I don't think she has Skarmory in this game, so that's something at least. The gym puzzle is similar to what it is in Emerald. It involves sliding doors, but what they have to do with the Flying type, I really don't know. I'm sure it made sense to someone at some point. When the fight begins, I start with Crobat to face Swellow. Our wing attack puts it on red health and she lands an aerial ace for moderate damage while also healing. 2 more wing attacks very quickly put her Swellow down for the count, so that was easy. Pelipper is next and it keeps spamming Protect, which is annoying. We do manage to get a Confuse Ray off on it. Throughout the fight, we do get quite decent confusion luck. Some of Crobat's wing attacks do bounce off Protect, but quite a few of them do land and do decent damage. In conjunction with the confusion damage, we do soon down Pelipper. Next, oh, she does have Skarmory. We hit some bites and wing attacks, they don't do a particularly high amount of damage, but it's about the best we've got. I do fire a Confuse Ray at it, and again, it hits itself quite a lot in confusion. We get it down to red health and she heals it. We have to start the wearing down process once again, and she goes for a sand attack. I withdraw Crobat and swap into Mightyena, hitting some takedowns and a swagger to try and wear it down. This takes a long time and we get hit with a bunch of steel wings, but eventually, and I do mean eventually, we drop the Skarmory. I'm already dreading Stephen Stone at the end after that. Altaria is last and we hit a takedown while she goes for Dragon Dance. I scary face it to remove the speed buffs just in case it does get a lucky hit in first and takes us out. She goes for another dragon dance and then we crit it with takedown for the win. Well, that ended up simpler than I thought it would be. There's an optional fight with May in front of the Lily Cove department store, which we have to do next, and I decide to fight her. Largely just to say that I did. She begins with a new swallow, while I begin with my Sharpedo. I hit it with a slash, she survives on red health, then hits a wing attack that does 30 points of damage, and Rough Skin takes her out. The rest of her team, first her Grovyle, then her Numel, and finally her Whalmer. None of them are fully evolved, and none of them are quite as hardy as Swallow. They all go down to a Soul Slash each, and that is that. I've got story stuff next, as I have to do Mount Pyre and the Team Magma base, which is not in the volcano this time, but rather it's where the Team Aqua base normally is, in Lily Cove City in Emerald. So, at least I've not got to charge back to Lava Ridge Town. While I am going through the base, let's talk about what's going on with the channel. I hit 200 subscribers. I did a special video where I went shiny hunting in Legends Arceus. First time ever. I'm a little interested in the whole shiny hunting thing now. I imagine it's deeply frustrating and satisfying at the same time. I have a few ideas for future videos regarding this, but I need to do some research first regarding something. Last week we did Pokemon Insurgents episodes 3 and 4. Check them out if you're interested. I enjoyed it for sure. I needed to be reminded that I wasn't doing a single Pokemon run though, when my starter got beat up by a Jigglypuff. Did episodes 16 and 17 of the Fable Anniversary playthrough. I also did episodes 5 and 6 of the Resident Evil Revelations 2 playthrough, so that's all good and in order. I've no idea how much I've got left to do in either of those games. Well, actually, I kind of figure I'm slightly under halfway through the latter. Fable games tend to have a lot of content. I've got a few weeks off in a few weeks, so I might start a Legend of Zelda playthrough. Upcoming next Pokemon challenge though, the thing I'm sure you're interested about. I wanted to get this one in before it makes a return for the first time in a few gens in Scarlet and Violet. Join me as I see if I can beat Pokemon Y using just a single Skidoo. Once the story stuff is out of the way for the moment, we've got the Psychic Gym, and this could be pretty rough. On the surface, it should be easier than it is in Emerald because they have less Pokemon each, and we have 2 Dark types. Of course, neither of them really have moves that are going to be useful versus Solrock and Lunatone, but that's a whole other issue. At least the entire team is at level 50, so hopefully we can overpower them with brute force. Hey, there's worse double battles in the history of this franchise. This should be nothing. The gym puzzle is interesting, let's leave it at that. Probably no less obnoxious than the one in Emerald, but in a slightly different way. Anyway, I start with Sharpedo and Mightyena, just so they can't do any tricksy psychic stuff with us. I go for Screech on Lunatone with Sharpedo and then hit it with Mightyena's takedown while it misses Hypnosis. Solrock goes to Sunny Day, Sharpedo tears through Lunatone with a slash, finishing it off before we turn our attention to Solrock. It blasts us with flamethrower attacks, one for Mightyena and one for Sharpedo, but both of them survive, and thanks to another Screech from Sharpedo, we're very quickly able to take it out with slash and takedown attacks. That was way simpler than it had any sort of right to be, and I'm grateful for it. The next major fight is the Maxi one in the underwater cavern. This is strangely weird, largely because of the Emerald thing, and normally it's Archie you fight down here. It's weird seeing Groudon in that lava pool. We begin the fight with the mirror match, Mightyena versus Mightyena. I swagger the opponent while it goes for Scary Face when it's not hitting itself in confusion. We do get good confusion luck throughout this fight, I will say, with the enemy hitting itself a few times. We wear Mightyena down and Maxi heals it. We do retaliate with a Scary Face of our own, plus another swagger when confusion wears off before we drop it with takedown. Crobat is next, and we're weakened stats-wise from the previous fight, so I Scary Face it a bunch of times, all while it goes to wing attacks. With its speed crippled, I start to hit takedowns until Mightyena goes down. Sharpedo comes in next, and despite his best efforts, we take it down with Slash. Camerupt is last, and we 2-hit it with Slash. all while it tries to protect its special defence with amnesia, trying to shield itself from a blow that is never going to come. Water gym then. At least this gym puzzle didn't change, probably because it was already a neat enough idea. Let's get this one out of the way and we can head to the Pokemon League. It hasn't been that bad so far this run, but I have a feeling the League might change that. Actually, given the first few abortive attempts I make at the puzzle, it might be different than what it is in Emerald. I begin with Sharpedo versus Wallace. We hit Love Disc hard with Slash and put it on red health. Its Water Pulse doesn't do much to us, and we get him to waste a Hyper Potion, and we 2-hit it with Slash. Whiscash is next, and it goes for Amnesia on the first turn after we put it on yellow health with Slash. It survives a second Slash and goes for Earthquake for big damage, but we put it down hard with the third Slash. Celio is a 1-hit with Slash thanks to a crit before we 2-hit Seeking with Slash. It only goes for Rain Dance in retaliation. Milotic is Outlast, and I'm a little worried that we'll be able to beat it with Sharpedo. So I go for 2 Screechers to wreck its defence so that Mightyena or Crobat will be able to come in and finish it. We get hit with 2 Water Pulses. We survive the second one on red health, and I hit a Slash that 1-hits Milotic to give us the last badge. Well, I thought that would be harder. In Victory Road, we've got to fight Wally, so let's get that out of the way. Okay, maybe it's not exactly in the same place that we fight him in Pokemon Emerald. Wonder what's going on here. Okay, the fight is at the end of Victory Road rather than at the start. This makes it somewhat harder in theory because we have to fight him after fighting our way through the trainers here, who traditionally aren't easy. Mightyena begins versus Altaria, and it's a tactical game, as it repeatedly Dragon Dances. We fire a Swagger and a Scary Face at it over the course of the fight, all while hammering it with takedowns. It does eventually go down, but it's probably the hardest of his 5, and considering he has a Steel type in there, that's quite an impressive claim. Delcatty goes down to 2 takedowns, missing a Sing in retaliation, which isn't surprising. Magneton is next, and I do not want to fight this now, so I roar it out after getting hit with Thunderbolt, which leaves us weak. Roselia comes in, we hit it with a takedown, but we can't do much as we faint. I send Crobat in to finish Roselia off with Wing Attack, but he does the sneaky switch back into Magneton. I confuse it immediately, and then I Stunlock it with Bite, getting a repeated flurry of flinches on it, taking it out rather swiftly. That is a huge relief. Gardevoir is out next. I hit it with a Wing Attack while it spams Double Team, but we miss Wing Attacks as it goes for Double Team over and over and over again. I switch into Sharpedo eventually, just in time for it to go for Psychic, which fails immediately thanks to our type. We hit 2 slashes to wipe Gardevoir out before we finish Roselia off in the same fashion. I do a bit more grinding up in Victory Road, trying to get everyone to at least level 60, and here are our stats. I do have nearly 50 rare candies thanks to pickup, so worst case scenario, I have to be a lot higher level, and I think we will have to be to even have a fighting chance against Steven. But Phoebe could be bad. If Crobat goes down, we're cooked. Take your guesses on if I can do this at this level or not. Now, Dark-type trainer Sydney is up first, and we stroll out to face him. I begin with Mightyena to go for the mirror match. I'm absent the choice of anything really better suited. We intimidate each other, and I decide to go for the Swagger. It gets confused and hits itself while we land a takedown. Confusion doesn't last long, and worse, we get hit with a pair of Sand Attacks, all while he heals and we have to try and whittle him down again, which we do, getting another Swagger off at the second attempt and hitting enough takedowns to win the Battle of the Dark Doggos. Shiftry is out next, and I switch into Crobat, getting hit with Fake Out. We hit Air Cutter and Wing Attack to down it, despite Shiftry trying to double team its way out of trouble. Cacturn, out next, is a 1-hit with Wing Attack. I'd love to know what his strategy was right there, before Sharpedo is next. We aim some air cutters at it, getting hit with a pair of surf attacks. Sydney clearly understands same type attack bonus a lot better than Archie does, and a swagger. We do hit ourselves in confusion, but manage to take Sharpedo out. Absol is last. We shake off confusion, and no doubt, thanks to the attack boost, we managed to one-hit it with an air cutter. That one was simple. This next one won't be though, as we stroll out to face Phoebe. The most trouble I ever had with Phoebe was when I did Emerald with a single slacking. That was a fresh piece of purgatory, I'll tell you that much. This one might be as bad, but we will have to see. Okay, we lose badly. Dusclops confuses Crobat on the first turn, so I switch into Mightyena and try to swagger it to death. And it all goes well and good until she drops the full restore on it. Trying to affect its stats is okay, but we've got limited PP, made worse by the pressure ability. Swaggering it is a risky strategy because all ghost moves are physical in this game, so those shadow punches really hurt. Mightyena can't beat Dusclops with this strategy, and we go down. Crobat does finish it, but we do get hurt badly. Sableye is next, and it knows Psychic, which is unhelpful as it crashes into Crobat. So I swap into Sharpedo, who has a similar issue to Mightyena. We try to swagger it, but it never stays confused, and it powers up Shadow Ball quite a lot, and eventually Sharpedo falls too. Crobat comes back out and does take Sableye down before we do hit Bayonet quite hard. However, unfortunately, we do go down to another Psychic. So that was every bit as bad as I thought it would be. Back to the grind board then. I get my team ranging from level 65 to 70 and make another try. Worst case scenario, we get our cheeks clapped again. We do win at this attempt though. I go for Bite a lot, hoping for flinches, and it kind of pays off. We go for it versus Dusclops number 1 and drop it below half. It does confuse us, but not for long. We do manage to eventually finish it off with Bite. Sableye does no attract, so I switch into Sharpedo to get rid of the condition and land a Screech at the second attempt while it peppers us with Shadow Balls. But when we get the Screech off, I switch back into Crobat and take it out. Bayonet goes down to 3 bites after we get the flinch on the first bite, and she heals on the second. Dusclops number 2 does land an Ice Beam, but it's not debilitating. Dusclops is far better as a defensive Pokemon than an offensive one, and despite her healing and it eating a berry, we can take it out with bite attacks. Thanks to our Laxing sense, it also misses an Ice Beam, before we have to deal with the last Bayonet, taking it out with Bite and Air Cutter after it decides to land Spite. That's a relief. Let's move on. Glacier is the one I'm worried about the least, believe it or not. Drake could be nasty, but I'm not concerned about her. Her team is a little uninspiring. She suffers from that first 4 gens complaint Pokemon did, where they put a type specialist in a region and give them absolutely nothing in terms of variety. So they either have to have repeats or stuff that's not their type. Trainers like Lance, Morty, Claire, Phoebe, Glacier, Flint. It's a pattern. We go with Sharpedo, who has this. Glalie goes down to 2 slashes and only tries to defend itself with Light Screen. Celio goes down to 2 slashes, going on the offensive with Body Slam, but we shake it off. The second Celio doesn't do much better, as again, we 2-hit it. I fire 2 Screechers at Walrein while it misses 1 Blizzard and connects with the second. Blizzard missing? Who would have guessed? We tank it and 1-hit it with Slash. Glalie, at the end, connects with an Ice Beam, but 2 slashes put it down. While we're on this subject, what exactly is Sharpedo slashing with? I'm assuming that it's our fins, but it's a weird one. Drake then, let's get this done. I don't know how it will go, but I suppose we do okay, the result aside. Shelgon is annoying as it fights with Mightyena, hitting us with Dragon Claws while tanking our takedowns. Probably the most annoying thing is that it moves on to Rock Tomb attacks as soon as we try to swagger it. It is a close run thing, but eventually, and this fight does go on ridiculously long, we do take it out. He sends Altaria out and we swap into Crobat. I have other plans for Mightyena. Crobat and Altaria do fight it out for a bit, trading blows until he heals it, and then we have to do it all over again. And eventually we do, coming out of it with the victory. The first Flygon is easy. We 2-hit it with Air Cutter, which I'm quite surprised about. The second one, a level higher, is not a 2-hit with Air Cutter, and it burns us with Flamethrower, which is not good because we have to try and finish it off with our bite attacks. Given our attack stat is cut by the burn, it was my only real option. Sharpedo comes in to finish it off. Salamence is last, and I swap into Mightyena for the Intimidate, and it's all we do, as it ends us with Fly. Sharpedo does decent damage with Slash, but it 2-hits us with Dragon Claw, the second being a crit. I'm not sure it would have made much difference, but it is annoying to lose like that. One more hit, and I reckon we'd have won. I give up grinding Mightyena. I just want to get Sharpedo and Crobat as high as I can, and we'll take it from there. I could just max out both their levels and have some rare candies to spare, but I don't want to go down that route just yet. I'll have to see just how we do here. The fight between Mightyena and Shelgon goes pretty similarly as to before. We hit some takedowns while it goes for Rock Tomb and protects. It doesn't hit many though, thanks for us swaggering it. It hits itself in confusion a bunch of times before going down. Crobat comes out to fight Altaria again. We hit it with Wing Attack twice to end it, while it misses Dragon Breath and goes for Dragon Dance. Flygon is a 2-hit with Air Cutter, throwing up the Sandstorm, which could work for us. The second Flygon is also a 2-hit with Air Cutter, using a Flamethrower on us, which we do not get burned by this time, before Salamence is last. Mightyena comes in and intimidates. We survive the Dragon Claw and hit a Scary Face, all while it keeps getting hit by the Sandstorm. Mightyena goes down, Sharpedo comes out, and we go for a Screech. We survive the Dragon Claw and then end it with a single slash. Boom! So, I have a confession. I genuinely don't have a game plan for Stephen. I guess we'll take a few runs at him and see how it goes. We're at such a bad disadvantage, I will probably need to start spamming those rare candies before long. If I've got 60 of them, how are they rare? Thought of the day. First attempt, well, it's nothing to write home about. We struggle incredibly badly with Skarmory. Mightyena tries to hurt it with takedowns, but nothing really comes of it, even when we go for Swagger. I switch into Sharpedo to see if we have more luck with it. It is hitting a lot of Steel Wings, so I figure I might as well get some rough skin damage in out of it. It then poisons us with Toxic at the second attempt, before Crobat comes in and takes it out with some bites eventually. This goes on for way too long though, and that's just his first Pokemon. Aggron is next, and it knows Thunder, which is pretty bad versus my team, even with Aggron's horrible special attack stat. It paralyses Mightyena and finishes it off. Crobat has to come in and bite away at it. We do get some flinches towards the back end of the fight, but it is close, and we are hurting because of the fight with Skarmory and now Aggron. Next is Cradily, and we're weak. We hit a few wing attacks, which do at least do neutral damage, but it takes Crobat out with Ancient Power and Sludge Bomb. He heals it as Sharpedo comes out, meaning we've got no chance, especially since we're Toxic poisoned. We fight away, but it takes us down with Giga Drain. I end up using some of those rare candies to get Crobat and Sharpedo to level 85, and Mightyena to level 70. The second attempt we have versus Stephen does go somewhat better, as we take out 3 of his Pokemon in Skarmory, Armaldo and Cradily. We would have done for Claydol too had he not switched into Aggron. Taking Ancient Power attacks from Armaldo and Cradily is not fun with Crobat. Aggron finishes off the rest of my team, taking down first Sharpedo and then Mightyena and finally Crobat. I use more rare candies. I figure desperate times call for desperate measures, and use them to raise Crobat and Sharpedo to level 95 and Mightyena to level 75. I have a few attempts, and then I make a try where I'd start with Crobat versus Skarmory, trying to keep it confused and going for bites to try and get flinches wherever I can. At least with us using Crobat, it stops us from being toxic poisoned. That is the main thing, since Crobat is immune. He goes for Claydol next, and we hit it with a bite before he puts a stop to us using that special attacking bite with a light screen. We finish it with a wing attack. We get insanely lucky on Cradilly and crit it with Air Cutter before he goes for Armaldo. We hit it with 2 Air Cutters to knock it out, though we do get tagged with an Ancient Power in exchange. Aggron is next, and I go for Mightyena to counter it. Crobat has done enough for the moment. We've got a Lax Incense on, which is supposed to reduce the opponent's accuracy. And Aggron duly hits 4 Thunders in a row, paralysing us, which isn't good. I do try to get a Swagger off, but to no avail, and it's not long before Mightyena goes down. I go into Sharpedo, who does at least evade a few Thunders. I hit 2 Screechers and a Swagger and start slashing away at it, hoping for the best. And my luck comes in as Aggron knocks itself out in confusion. I genuinely thought that was the end of us. Last is Metagross. No biggie then. We slash it for decent damage and then it takes us out with Earthquake. Okay, not good. Crobat has to do a little more work then. I go for Confuse Ray versus Metagross and it hits us with Psychic, dropping our special defence. All I can do is hope now. We're probably not going to be able to take another one of those. I call for Bite. I hope for a flinch. I don't get it. What I actually get is a crit which wipes Metagross's health out and ends the fight. Well, I'll be. I didn't think I could actually do that. Oh my word, that was a nerve-wracking final fight. I genuinely wondered if it'd be doable. We enter the Hall of Fame and the credits do roll. I need to lie down, I think. That was intense. A good chunk of this run wasn't that hard, but the end, whew, as predicted. I think this would actually have been somewhat easier with the champion fight in Emerald, because we would at least have had the capability to hurt Wallace a whole lot easier. I'm going to do this same run again at some point, but in Sapphire with Max's team and moves. For now though, I'm going to take a deep breath. I hope you enjoyed. If you have, please don't forget to like and subscribe. If you haven't already done so, drop a comment in the comment section to help the algorithms if need be. Join me again for another Pokemon challenge next week as I hit Pokemon Y with just a single Skidoo. Sure to be an interesting one, even if people do seem to be indifferent about challenges in Gen 5 and 6. What's going on with me? I have got another week of work to get through and then I've got a fortnight off. I'm ready to get some good old-fashioned gaming in. Could be intense. Might start a Legend of Zelda playthrough on the channel. Keep having my eyes open for a copy of Skyward Sword on the Switch. I played the Wii version, wasn't too impressed with the controls, but I want to give it another chance on a different console. We'll see. I'm sure I'll manage to get plenty of gaming in. Lots of long walks with the doggo too, so that should be pretty sweet. It's been too long since I had a break and I'm ready for it. I'm going to step off here and have that lie down, so thanks again for watching, folks. This has been Once and Future Gamer. This has been Pokemon Ruby with Archie's team and moves. Take care, folks. Have a great day, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye now.